Hey, everybody. It's Elgin, Conversations with Elgin again. And today I have a good, I would say old friend. I'm going to say a good, long time real estate friend. You can't say old no more because it starts to really,
No,
it
'cause
really
we're really
means,
getting old.
it really means old now. And Sandy Holguin, Sandy is a extremely good seasoned real estate agent. Sandy and I have worked at another company together, done quite a few things together. We actually even live in the same community, which we'll touch on a little bit. And I wanted to introduce her and say, Sandy, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Yay! Thank you so much, Elvin, for inviting me. I am doing great. I'm excited to talk with you and share some information with your fan base.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And well, I want you know what although obviously you and I know each other really well, I would like to go back with you just a little bit. Can you describe actually what made you get into real estate and how long you've been selling, and just a little quick background on yourself?
I'd love to. It's I have a very interesting story. It all started when I was a little girl, actually. You know, I oh wow. Of course, somebody would knock right now, right?
That's all right.
and,
That's what Zoom's all about, right?
they're knocking at the door. I don't know. I think I need to sign for this. Can we start all over again?
Yeah, let's see.
Hold on. I don't remember.
So that's okay. Hey, listen, this is a real live Zoom, and on a real live Zoom, we have some real live interruptions. So, hey, Sandy,
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Go ahead and tell us your story. You started out as a little girl,
It all
and where you
started
at
when I
there
was
now?
a little girl. Yeah, it all started when I was a little girl. No, my story is kind of interesting. As a Latin, and I was born in Colombia. My parents brought me here to the United States, and we weren't well to do, right? I grew up in the inner cities, and we had the typical Latino family dramas that happen when you're growing up. If you're Latino, you know what I mean.
Oh
So,
yeah, oh yeah.
yeah. And so there were actually times where I was homeless, and there was a Christmas time when my mom, we were sleeping in the car, and I remember it was Christmas Eve, and my mom had asked us, what do you guys want to do for Christmas? Do you want to have a Christmas tree, or do you want to sleep in a hotel room? Because she wanted us to have the experience of Christmas. We weren't going to get a present. Our present was we wanted to stay in the room. So, I shared that story with my mom, and I said, Mom, I'll never forget that one time we slept in the car. She goes, it wasn't just one day. It was actually 2 weeks. And I had no idea. So I'm really grateful for my mom and the strength that she has, because she always made us feel like we were enough, we weren't less than, which was awesome. Yeah. And so I was always in the legal field. I was a legal assistant, and I worked there for many years. And then I started buying property on my own. When we first bought our first home, we were renting it, and I asked the landlord if he would go ahead and sell us his home. And so we did the transaction on our own. And that was the first time that we purchased a house. We used my husband's VA benefit because he's a veteran. And from there, we started looking at other properties and continued to buy properties. About 2004, my husband was like, why don't you just start doing this for other people too? And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to do this. What if I suck? He's like, no. He goes, you're doing a great job for us, and you should help other families have the same kind of, wealth creation that we were getting. And so I left the legal world and got my real estate license, and have been helping families since 2004. And knock on wood, they've all have benefited from buying property. So, and I'm changing the narrative, right?
Absolutely. You know what? As long as we've known each other, I did not know that part of your story. That's fantastic. So
Yeah.
how long? So what you said, 2003, 2004? Is that around the time you got licensed?
That's when I got my license. Yeah, that's when I got my license. And it was a leap of faith, because I was so used to working from 9 to 5 in the corporate world, and coming into real estate, that's like I had no idea what I was getting into and helping other people. But yeah, it's and I've never looked back. I love what I do. I love what I do.
Now, if I correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, you also got your broker's license, didn't you?
I did. I did. Somebody once asked me, why do you want to get your broker's license? And I was like, why not? I always want to do something different and be ready. I believe in prepare, educate, and always be ready to be a yes. Because if an opportunity presents itself, I don't want to say, oh, wait a minute, I got to go do this. I want to
Right,
be able to say, I'm ready.
right,
I'm ready.
right.
So
That's
I
right.
did. I got my broker's license.
Well, listen. So obviously, you and I, when we first met and became friends, we were at at the previous company, and one of the things that I noted about you, even way back then, is you always seemed to be involved in different things. So I even remember when you had the little, you may still have it, and I'm going to probably say it wrong, but you had the little mailbox with the books in different parts of our community for kids, like a library. And we used to go to the volunteer days that we used to have at the previous company, and we were on a committee, and you always joined the committees that had volunteer stuff to do with it. So where does that part come from, the volunteer, the giving spirit that you've had in business?
Elgin, it comes from my heart. I am a supporter by nature. I love helping people. And, especially right now, and it's called my little free library is what it's called.
I'm sorry. I knew I was going to screw it up, but I'm sorry.
But you got it right. Some people call it the birdhouse too, but people love it. They love it. And I love bringing people, or when people come together, so much can be accomplished. And when you're in the middle of that, bringing that love together, really it's love that you're bringing together. It connects people at a whole nother level, I'm involved in that. I'm also involved, with NAHREP, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. We can touch on that later.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. And and I'm also a huge advocate of SRD Straightening Reins Ranch, which is a youth ranch that is for the interruption of, the mental well-being of youths, and trying to get in there so that they can make healthier choices and not choose addiction or suicide as an option. And there's support there for parents as well.
Right. That's fantastic. So a little bit more on the real estate side of it. So obviously, I've told my story here enough that people are bored with it in regards to moving over to EXP. And I remember actually, and we were just talking about this off air, laughing about us meeting in the grocery store. When I was one of the first people at our office that actually transitioned somewhere else, and you were like, I'm not sure yet. So tell me though, what actually you looked at with EXP that you decided it was somewhere that you were hoping to hopefully finish your career out whenever that is? What was it that you saw that actually clicked? Okay, I want to check that out a little more.
Elgin, I gotta say, I remember the grocery store, and then I remember running into you at Starbucks, and you were on the computer, and you were looking at the world, and I was like, I don't have time to be playing those games, because I was like, I can't even play Nintendo and function the buttons and stuff. And
right.
For me, that's why I was such a big no. And I was like, no. But then when I really sat down and really listened to the possibilities and the opportunities, it was pretty difficult to not be at the very least curious. And if you don't have an open mind and you're not curious about new opportunities, there's never going to be growth. And so I loved the company I was at before. It was a really big decision to leave because it was where I started and, you know, it's where I ended. So, but what has happened in the past 2 years, because at the end of October it'll be 2 years for me, and I'm doing the very same thing I've always done. I'm not doing anything different because there's a lot of chatter about all EXP does is recruit, and you know, I would say eliminate that word. We're not recruiting. You know, you get to see what we're creating, and if it attracts you, great. Take advantage of this opportunity, because you know, doing the very same thing I did for 14 years, I have more sources of income coming in that I've never would have had at any other company. There's marketing, there's training. We have an amazing California broker. She's just fabulous. And I'm sure every broker in every state, because we're everywhere now, is just as great. And so I don't regret it. And I'm so glad that I said yes 2 years ago and I had an open mind instead of being a hard no and not, you know, taking a leap of faith.
Right. You know, that was similar for us when Flora and I moved over initially. It's funny that you said that about, you know, EXP World and all that, because I looked at it initially and it was like, yeah, this looks like something my kids should be doing. This is a thing, and this, that, and the other. And then of course, come to find out, you know, all of the great things that it does. And then we also, what really attracted us to it was we looked at it as an opportunity to retire. But you know how it is in our business. There's no, in most cases, there's no 401ks. There's no, there's a lot of words about, you know, ownership. There's a lot of words about shareholders and things like that. But at the end of the day, there was nothing tangible that agents like you and I, that we could actually count on. So when Pilar and I looked at that, we kind of decided exactly what you just said, is that we could do the same thing that we had been doing for the last, you know, for me, you know, 32 something years, and, you know, for Pilar, 16, 17 years, whatever it is now. And we could do that, but we actually would have something that we could possibly retire on. You know, of course, we were talking about, you know, the stocks and stuff. And it was, you know, like you said, it was a leap of faith. And the whole revenue share component, although we've been blessed to experience that as well. To be honest, we weren't really sure about it, because, you know, that was a promise that was kind of made where we were at previously, and it was a promise that was unfulfilled, to say the least. So I understand, and that's what brought us here. The whole fact of being able to possibly retire. So I have to ask you, because I know how it has been for us. I'm actually skipping a couple of questions before this topic, but it's almost 2 years now, and you've been able to. I mean, I've seen your production. You know, I just see all the stuff. You know, you're still out there grinding and doing everything and helping a whole lot of families. How does it feel now, though? I'm sure that you check as much as I do. So I'll just say, if you check every now and then, how does it feel to actually have something as far as retirement, real estate wise, just with our stock? Isn't it amazing from where we started 2 years ago to where it's at today? Is that like eye-opening or what?
I never cease to be amazed. Every time I look, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And every time it's a bigger, oh my gosh. So it's just, it's exciting, because I feel like, you know, it's something new that we jumped in, even though the company's been around for 10 years. But for me, it's new, and it really started coming up. And they are so forward thinking that who would have known when they started that they would be who they are today in the middle of this pandemic? It was like, for EXP agents, it was a smooth transition. We've been doing it all along. There was like business as usual. And that's why I believe I didn't experience a downshift in my business. Everything just kept going the same. I still had my world. I still had my broker. I still had everything. Nothing changed.
That's funny, because that was what I was going to ask you next, is how have you felt we were very similar? You know, all of a sudden the world, quote unquote, shuts down, and you and I both know, and both have obviously we're in the same community, so we have similar friends, real estate friends, that maybe aren't doing as well as that we would like to see them, and so far haven't had an open mind. And when the pandemic hit, I mean, they're not going into the office, or the office is not open, or they're sneaking in the office because they're not supposed to be there, or all of that type of stuff. So at least the way our cloud-based system is set up, you've been able to just continue to go on without pretty much any interruption, as you're saying, right?
Exactly. No interruptions at all. I was able to still serve my clients, and I didn't have to sneak into my office off site. I just snuck into my office at home, which I had set up anyways. I have an entire room where I'm strictly set up to do business. And the truth is, a lot of the time, we're not at the office. If we're in the office 100% of the time, then we're not really doing anything. So, because we're usually out with clients, we're meeting with clients, we're showing property. So, the office space, the brick and mortar, is not really that important.
I agree 100%. So let me ask you this EXP question. So it's almost 2 years. Hey, you know what? I was in a meeting with some of the management people, and although it hasn't been announced yet, but you know that we've now hit 37,000 agents. And there were like 12,000 when we joined. So it's like, oh my, that's just 2 years, and that's without all the other countries, completely being opened and all of that. But let me ask you this. So you came over, you looked at the opportunity, you took the leap, and once you got here, what have you found since you've been at EXP that maybe is a little bit better than what you expected when you came over? Is there anything that stands out?
A lot for me, a lot actually. And in all transparency, I do want to say the shift to going into the world, you got to give yourself some grace, because when you're learning it, if you get through that, it's kind of like a diet. Get through the first 3 or 5 days and you're got it. So once you're in, you're in. But what I like about EXP is all the opportunities that they give us. And another thing that they've been doing since day one, since I've started, is that they were doing diversity already. We've got EXP Latino, we've got the Black the Black EXP, we've got all kinds of nationalities in there, and they have their different groups, and then there's just one entire group where everybody blends in. And I think that sometimes different people need to work with different people, and that we have that opportunity to serve everyone. And it's always been just one EXP, I think, is a beautiful thing. And the opportunities that they give us, I'm also a mentor. I'm able to help brand new agents come in. I'm a certified mentor for EXP. When they're in transactions, they've got that person to hold their hand if they need somebody to walk them through. We have amazing brokers that are always available. Every time I go in there, I can get anybody in a minute. But now there's also that connection. If somebody needs to see you and be there, it's also offered there. So just, I think just everything. I have nothing bad to say about EXP right now.
That's fantastic. So you touched on something else that I was going to touch on, which leads me into this. So you're obviously still crazy productive. You're still helping buyers and sellers, and you got your family, which I get to see, and grandkids. Obviously, we know each other personally. So I see all your little posts and stuff. In addition to that, now you're a mentor, so you're spending time with that, and then you are president of your chapter of NAHREP.
I am.
How do you fit all of that in? And talk to us a little bit on what made you decide to not only join NAHREP, but to then become the president of your chapter.
Well, first of all, I fit that all in by being really, really specific with my calendar, because it's a lot. And I'm not going to lie, I do have very long days. I have very long days when I'm helping families and I'm doing my volunteer work, but the volunteer work fills my heart, and the more I'm filled, the more I can give. So it's just kind of like, it's giving, it's like that circle that just goes like this, right? And like I touched with you earlier, having experienced poverty, and I'm not saying we were poor like in third world countries, but we weren't well off, and having experienced that homelessness, I also see that a lot of families, Latino families in specific, that's how I got involved with NAHREP, are usually taken advantage of because of the language barrier. And so I wanted to be that advocate for them and come in and help Latino families in creating wealth and in understanding how to buy property and feeling that trust, because that's really, if we would have had somebody help us when we were younger, I would probably have a different narrative now. And it would, we might have bought a home, but when Latino parents, my parents didn't know any better, so they didn't buy anything. So
Right.
I'm teaching my children a different story and a different way of creating wealth. So the more involved I got and the more I learned about NAHREP, then the more passionate I became about it and trying to help people. And so I'm also a NAHREP 10 certified speaker. So we have
Wow, I didn't
10,
know that. Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. We've got 10 principles, and I can speak anywhere to anybody about the 10 principles of NAHREP, and they touch up on different things. They touch up on, be politically savvy, and also spending time with family, and they've got a bunch of different principles that are there to help you create wealth. And not, while our association is Hispanic predominantly to help the Latino community, what's beautiful about it is that we can help anybody with it, because these principles apply to anyone and they can use them all.
Wow, that's fantastic. So in addition to that, now you're speaking, you're mentoring, and you're Madam President, and Grandmama. That's a lot, Sandy. That's a lot.
And I still get to be a girlfriend to my boyfriend,
Absolutely.
who I've been married to for over 35 years. So
Congratulations,
thank
congratulations.
you.
Well, obviously too, I know your husband, and on top of him being a really nice guy, he's actually he's really funny.
Yeah.
He's a hoot, as they say.
He's a great guy. And you know what? Everything that I do, God bless him, he supports me in it all. When I say, I'm gonna jump, he's like, go ahead, girl, and I'll catch you if you fall. And that's the best. And I think that allows me to get into all these things that I get into. So he's a good guy.
So let me ask you just one more, say, pandemic type of question. Is in the pandemic, has your lead generation focus on however you get your business, have you had to change how you were doing business at all, or have you been pretty much able to continue that in the same manner as you have been prior?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it's exactly the same for me, because I'm not a door knocker. I don't go knocking on doors, so now we can't knock on doors anyway, so that didn't affect me. I've always been a phone call person. I still can talk to people. And really this whole Zooming thing, it allows us to at least feel like we're seeing each other, and so
Right.
that's also very helpful. I'm very much the one-on-one kind of business person, and I'm relational. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm very relational. And so I would always call people and see how they're doing, checking in on them. And so my business is the same kind of business I've always been doing.
That's fantastic, and obviously very, very personable.
Thank you.
When you're working with people, it's hard not to like you, Sandy. So that's
Thank you, Elgin. Well, you know what? You're my mirror. Like, subtract, right?
absolutely. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, and moving forward, say the next, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, there's an awful lot of uh, uncertainty as far as our economy goes, and everything else. I'm sure that you get asked this all the time, because I know I do. Where do you see, or what do you see transitioning in our real estate market? Do you pretty much see it as as the same? Do you think that we may have some challenges? Do you think it's going to crash? Do you think we're going to get, a quadrillion% of appreciation next year? What are your thoughts moving forward?
I'm going to look into my crystal ball, right? Because
Absolutely.
I was born on Halloween, so I have an actual ball. No. But I would say that no, the market's not going to crash. There's just such a lack of inventory right now. And really, if people say, well, what if I lose my job? Okay, well, if people lose their jobs, maybe people will start listing more properties because they're not going to there's too much equity in the homes. They're not going to let their homes go into foreclosure. So, and before we have an abundance of sellers, that would have to be like so many thousands of people selling at the same time. And there's such a demand for it that I think it would get sucked up as soon as they're listed, which is what's happening now, right? We have multiple offers, over list price, waiving appraisals. I mean, and I do not see the market going down. I personally don't see it going down. I still see it as real estate being a very strong investment. And, to add to that note, I remember when the market did crash, right? It's my house. I gotta pay a rent anyways, so I might as well pay myself. So even if you buy a house today and the market were to crash, I promise you in 10 years, it's gonna come right back up, because I've seen the market go up and down and up and down, and it's still my home. And during that time, now I have equity, and so if you focus on the short-term goals, it may not look all that hot. When you look at the long-term goals, real estate has always been the heart of the economy.
No, I agree. One of the things that is I get asked, people say, well, we're gonna wait until the prices come down. And I'm like, oh, so you're gonna wait until the prices come down? You're gonna wait till the interest rate go up, huh? I said, maybe.
It's all relative. It's all relative.
And I think maybe you should focus on, like I tell people, maybe you should focus on what you're paying per month. I said, because unless you're gonna buy or sell, it's all monopoly money until you're ready to do something with it. But if you buy the home, as long as you can afford it and you don't have some type of life-changing events, you're going to have to pay to live somewhere anyway. You're just paying for either your legacy or you're paying for someone else's legacy, but you're going to pay.
You know what? And let me share this with you. And this is the first time I'm sharing it with anybody, because I did want to make like an announcement, but I'm going to share it here with you. This week, I'm actually paying off a property thanks to the tenants that have been paying the rent for me. So this is when I'm saying, real estate, you can't go wrong. If you're going to be paying the rent, God bless them for paying me the rent, and they need housing too. But if they would have purchased instead, they'd be paying off their home. Instead, I'm paying off a property because I've had tenants pay me rent.
That's fair. Well, congratulations. I was thinking a lot to you so far on this little conversation. That's fantastic. That is great.
Thank you. Conversation that I was like, 30 minutes is a long time.
Right, but now you see it's gone by pretty fast, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Well, you know what? In wrapping up, I would like maybe for you to say, as other people that are listening to us, other real estate people, agents, either maybe they're not doing as well as they would hope to right now. Maybe they've experienced challenges and they've got a little fog, a little funk going on, because of everything that's going on. And then also some of those agents that really don't have a plan of where they want to be 5 to 10 years from now in the business. I'd like you to just reach out and summarize your experience and what you feel they should, at least, if nothing else, look at EXP as something for the future. And just with just a heartfelt reason, because I'm sure if nothing else, you can think of at least one person that right now really, really, really well that won't listen. They don't take the advice. Or would rather listen to rumor than open up and listen and learn and make a decision one way or the other for themselves. What would you say to that person right now?
It's so funny that you say that, because I actually have a really, really good friend that when I joined DXP, I was so excited and I wanted her to come in and she's like, no, I don't want to be hearing about that. So I wanted to respect her space and not impose on our friendship. And now I have a shift because of everything that I've gotten because of EXP, the growth, the opportunities, the income, the money, all of it. I feel guilty because I wasn't a good enough friend. I should have actually said, no, really, this is because I love you. This is, look at it now. And I'm actually going to go back to her and say, I'm putting our friendship aside because I care so much about you that I want you to see what it could do for you and your family. At least have an open mind. For heaven's sakes, there's nothing, you have nothing to lose. If you're doing the same thing and getting the same results, try something different. If you don't like it, you can always go back. That was the way I came into EXP. I was like, if I don't like it, I can always go back, because I was a great agent, and I'm still a great agent, but you know, my company loved me and I could have gone back, and you know, I'm happy where I'm at. And I think people should at least look at the opportunity, because it's something that will change your family's legacy.
Wow. Well said. Well said. Well, you know what? From a friendship standpoint, I want to thank you for taking time out of your
Thanks,
business
Elgin.
to meet with me, and I appreciate everything that you said. I wanted to again say we thank you, and how grateful we are to have you on our success team as well,
Thank
and
you,
that we want
Elgin.
you to experience all of the growth and all of the success that you can. So stay healthy, stay alert. God bless you and your family. And Sandy, thank you again so much.
Likewise, thank you. Have a great day.